What's going on, y'all? This is another video today. This is actually a subscriber and group chat based video. We're going to be talking about basically designations of rifles. All right. So I've been having a couple conversations with people. I posted on Trigger Hill, which is a all to a app. If y'all interested, I learned it from Alexandra. Shout out to her. And if y'all want to have conversations with me, directly message me, whatever. It is practical_civilian on there. But we were having a couple different conversations about designations of rifles, right? And what that means in the civilian sector versus the military sector. And because I was like, hey, y'all like my my new quote unquote battle rifle, right? Because if I did go to battle, I would probably take my GPR, which currently is my PSA Jackal. I know people are gonna say blah blah blah, you can't do that, PSA sucks, whatever. There's an oxymoron or a never-ending cycle of, is it reliable because I put this many rounds through it? What number do you think that would be a reliable number to put through a platform? Because I'm gonna tell you guys like this. I personally know at least 10 people who have put 10,000 through theirs with no problem. That's 100,000 rounds, right? And I know, the scars and all of that stuff have put like hundreds of thousands of millions of rounds through whatever, right? Scars have problems. I can't believe it. I know. Yes, scars have problems. It's just a fact. And we'll talk about cartridge and everything else a little bit later, but scars have problems, jackals have problems, spears have problems. We're talking about, military designated rifles, right? Not DMRs, but, just stuff that they call battle rifles, right? Because I don't think the military has a designated battle rifle. If they did, it'd be probably the M4, which is a tried and true platform. I would say that I think the M4 has more rounds downrange on target, more than the scars. Because in the military, the scars are actually not that common. M4s are way more common as far as training and as far as, everyday use by non-combat engineers, right? Even overseas or whatever. So that being said, why not choose something that has the basis of the M4, the same lower, same parts, everything. Only thing that is different is the upper. Now, things that I considered when saying this was, parts compatibility, and I've argued with this guy, especially. He was telling me there's no way I would choose a SCAR because of parts compatibility. I'm like, are you serious? So realistically, I don't think we're going to war within the next 10 years, right? So realistically, in range aspects or in just everyday use stuff, right? I know that my rifle is covered by PSA's lifetime warranty. If I put 100,000 through it and the barrel is cooked, I can send it back and get a brand new one. Right? That's covered in warranty. Can you do that with FN? Can you do that with a SCAR? Can you do that with SIG? Don't think you can. SIG has its own problems. SCAR has their own problems. And it's kind of crazy that the SIG had problems with their screws and their barrel. The SCAR always has had problems with their screws, coming loose and stuff. Even red Loctited and torque to specs. It's just I think the problem with the mechanism. Now, PSA has had some QC issues with theirs. That being said, I have not had none of mine. I've had 3 jackals and have not had no problems with mine, so I cannot speak to those specific QC issues because I have not had any with mine. Mine's have been in spec, and I have a total of 20,000 rounds through the 3 that I have shot. So that goes back to the point. What do you think is a viable round count for a battle rifle? And the thing about this is, the more rounds you put through it, the more likely you are to have failures. The less likely you clean it, the more likely you have failures. And then the least accurate it'll be, the more rounds you put through it, and then the thing starts all over. So you just have to keep testing every pistol, every rifle that you get until you put 100,000 rounds through it. Then you change out the barrel. Then you put another 100,000 rounds through it. Then you change out the barrel. Then you put 100. So it's like, is it a never-ending cycle of I have to see if this is super reliable, or at what point do you pass 10,000 with no malfunctions that weren't caused by you adjusting the gas, and do you say, maybe this is pretty reliable as long as I keep up with it on the maintenance and everything. That being said, I clean my guns every time I leave the range. I love doing that. That's something I've always liked doing. And that's just something that I prefer to do every time. Every time I leave the range, I always like doing that. So that's something that I do pretty frequently, periodically. I enjoy it. So I clean mines pretty frequently. Why wouldn't you? That's like, I don't understand why people would like, hey, I'll shoot this 10,000 rounds without cleaning, and then I'll be surprised. I can't believe it's so unreliable. It's no, you have to take care of a tool just like you have to take care of a car. It requires maintenance. Put some maintenance through it. Take care of it. Actually run it how it's supposed to be ran. Don't drag the shit through the mud. Don't pull it behind a car on the highway and then I can't believe that the barrel fell off. Like, what are we talking about here? Okay, granted, the military designated battle rifles do go through a lot of torture testing and stuff, and the 6th Spirited go through that, but us as civilians, we don't have access to those military rifles. We get the fucking scraps that they don't want to, push through. We get probably like the V1, and the military gets like the V4, the V3. All right, they're getting the upgraded versions. We're getting the downgraded versions for sure, right? So that being said, another reason why I picked it, because PSA has no military contract. Sorry guys, my phone died. But back to what I was saying. Basically, I chose a PSA rifle specifically because they operate only in the civilian sector. And there's not a whole bunch of people doing as much as they are. What do I mean by this? I would say for the amount of complaints y'all have seen about rails out of spec, screws coming loose, stock adapters coming loose, the stock sucking, which in their defense, the stock, they don't make that stock. If they made it, it'd be better, because they actually listen to people and they actually take notes with what people say. By the way, if you want to replace your stock, I think, hold on. There we go. I think PSA is doing a thing where if you send them your stock, your F5 stock, they'll give you the upgraded F5 stock. Me personally though, I like F5, love F5 to death, but A3 Industries makes a better one because they have the 3 cheek riser levels that lock in. We'll talk about that once we get it hands-on in a later video. But for the amount of complaints y'all have seen from them, there are thousands of people who just got their rifles and they were fine. Like thousands. I'm talking about, when I say they make a lot, they were the number 2 manufacturer of firearms last year. Number 2. PSA used to sell parts kits. So, I mean, people are not going to keep buying it just because they're cheap. If they suck, they're not going to buy them. And the thing is, it's like the high point effect. If they're cheap and they suck, people might still buy them, but they're not cheap and they don't suck. They have the Saber line now, which is definitely not cheap. Cheaper than the competition, yes, but it's getting pretty up there. But they still do their budget rifle stuff where they just don't make that much money off of the top. I mean, they're making money. They're making millions for sure. I've seen their factory tour. They got like 30 CNC machines in there where they're making their parts. And this is another thing about them. They're making their triggers. They're making their disconnectors. They're making their springs. Like, when they say American made, they mean that shit. Like, they're making every little bitty part themselves. I mean, but that being said, I chose them because it's a platform that I can benefit from the most. It's easier to manipulate than a normal AR. Takes normal AR parts, which is like the biggest benefit. So if you got like a spare lower, just Throw that upper on there with the adapter and you're good to go. You got to change out the bolt catch, but it comes with a bolt catch. And I've got, the most that I've got through one rifle is 10K. And no malfunctions other than when I suppressed it, which you got to tune the gas, and when I was tuning the gas to find that perfect level of going through regular range ammo, because I went from 223 to 556 for a little bit, and it was remanufactured stuff, so the gassing was really inconsistent, which I knew that going into it, so I knew I might have some problems. But it has more gas settings than the SCAR and the Spear. I mean, I don't know why they don't incorporate that more. It's not that hard to, have a knob that just has a couple more settings on it. I mean, for $4,000, give me some more gas settings, bruh. Give me a barrel that doesn't bend. Give me a handguard that stays still. Give me decent parts from the factory. Like, you already are 35 in for the SCAR and you got to put another 15 in just to make it usable. That's not feasible to me. As a civilian, that's not feasible to me. The military, it's unlimited budget, so you could do whatever. In the military's eyes, if you need it, they'll get it. They got it. I mean, they were spending $40,000 on night vision. I mean, so they have an unlimited budget. And that's another thing too. This what me and the guy was talking about, parts compatibility. So it's way more likely that you're gonna find excuse me, you're gonna find a spare bolt carrier, a spare trigger group, a spare set of takedown pins, spare charging handle and everything, even though the Jackal doesn't use AR charging handles. Way more likely for you to find spare parts of these for a normal AR, because like I said, it takes normal AR lower parts. It's more likely for you to find a buffer tube. How many people do you know that have spare SCAR parts? How many people do you know that have a spare SCAR bolt that cost $1,000? How many people do you know that have a spare SCAR proprietary lower or takedown pins or trigger group? Or does it take a normal? I think it does take a normal trigger group. This is how you know that the SCAR doesn't listen, because there's 3 other companies that have been profiting off the SCAR not listening. KDG, Kinetic Development Group, that makes the M-LOK stuff for them, and the SCAR extended M-LOK handrail. There's another company that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they make a lower, SCAR lower, that takes standard AR parts, which that's another $350 into an already $3,500 rifle. And everybody who's making SCAR stocks, F5, I think even A3 just came out with a SCAR adapter for their stock. So, like I said, another $1,500 into an already $3,500 rifle is nuts to me, right? Not to mention proprietary parts that you're not going to have laying around. That's 2 big strikes in it. Now, you might say, oh, well, if I want to be combat ready, I'm going to get the... Bruh, come on, man. How many... Just go out and ask a friend group. How many... Even if you have a friend that has a SCAR, ask them how many spare parts they have for it. I mean, it's easy to just go out and buy spare parts for the PSA Jackal. I mean, the only parts that you can't buy, I think, is the barrel. So you can get the bolt carrier. You can get the extra charging handle. I believe you can even get an extra charging handle sled. And then all the other parts are standard. And the thing is, if you have a problem with it, you can send it back. Or if you wanted to, you could really just buy another upper and have another lower and just make whole nother rifle that you don't even touch or test or whatever. Or you can have, extra AR parts. Who doesn't have extra AR parts laying around? If you are really a true builder, who doesn't have extra an extra lower that's fully built out just laying around? Who doesn't have that? Right? All you would need is the adapter and the upper. Boom, you got a Jackal. Can you do that for a SCAR? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Can you do that for a Spear? Absolutely not. Now the Spear, they have a Surge kit that I want to test out, but that's suppressed upper receiver group. I think that's viable, but the thing is, that's still almost $1,500 just for the upper. And then you still need a standard lower and lower parts, and you still have to use conversion parts for that. But I'm curious to see how that would, because I think they have a Rattler, Rattler conversion kit, MCX kit, Spear kit, whatever. I'm willing to try that out. But that being said, I think that systems like the BRN 180 Gen 3 and the PSA Jackal are like the two biggest contenders right now for a quote unquote battle rifle ready thing. And I know the comments are going to be like, oh, I will never use a PSA for my battle rifle. Well, good for you. And that's another thing. That's what everybody doesn't understand. We're in the civilian sector. Military stuff does not affect us over here, right? I can designate my rifle whatever I want it to be. Why do you have a problem with what I'm telling my rifle? I mean, thanks for the view, but damn. I can, if I want to designate my rifle an SPS, an SBR, even though it's not a short barrel rifle, I can do that. So what? Who cares? If I want to designate my rifle that I have put the most rounds through, that I have put almost 20,000 rounds through these rifles in total, this platform in total, the one that I have 33 videos on my channel about so far, that I have been running since it came out with no issues, with no problems. I keep taking it to the range. I keep expecting problems, and I don't have none. What is the problem with me designating my rifle a GPR? I mean, and that's the thing, GPR, battle rifle, not even the same thing. I've designated my GPR already, but I just wanted to see what people would say if I tried to designate my battle rifle. I mean, if shit comes to the fan, I don't know if I would bring that. That's a whole different video. But if I wanted to, I could. I mean, I got the 3X, magnifier, probably going to use the 5X with the top red dot soon. I mean, that's been my test rifle because it's ran the most reliably and it's been the most consistent, right? Find the right ammo and you can turn any rifle, I think, above 13 inches. You can turn it into a bullseye shooter with the right barrel, the right ammo, at about 500 yards. With the right holdovers and everything, with the right caliber. Oh man, that's another thing. The caliber, they was like, it's not an intermediate, it's not a NATO, blah blah blah. I don't care about that. I'm not in the military, bro. I can designate my rifle whatever I want it to be. I think that 5.56 and 223 is way more common than 308. That's why I think for a battle rifle specifically, 308 is not that feasible. 308 has more options, yes, but for I would say a middle class American, 5.56 is definitely more affordable and more prevalent and more common. More companies make 5.56s than 308s. But on the ammo side, as far as accessibility and versatility, definitely 308 is winning. But it's heavier. That plays a factor. I want to be able to carry as many rounds as possible, shoot as far as possible, be as accurate as I can as possible, and be able to do a lot of things with this one rifle, right? That's why I designated my GPR. It's from close all the way up to long range and everything in between. It can fit that role. 308 is not really for close range. That's why I think if I was, I'm already, that being said, I got the video series on my dream battle rifle, quote unquote battle rifle. But I know that thing gonna be heavy. I know it's gonna be heavy. So for me personally, I wouldn't take a heavy ass rifle into battle. Even though I'm starting to get used to the weight and I'll train with it, whatever. Doesn't matter. I want to be able to carry more ammo. Why would I carry 3 mags of 25, right? That's only 75 rounds for y'all who are counting, plus one in the gun. That's 100 rounds. When I can carry 6 mags, 30 each. 180 rounds, plus one in the gun. Right? That's a lot more rounds, right? And I can do the same thing with it. It might not have the barrier defeating capabilities, and we could talk about that in a whole different video, 5.56 versus 308. And 308 definitely wins in a lot of aspects, but 5.56, the weight and the availability. I wouldn't even say the availability, the weight and the commonality of it, right? Because if you go to 10 gun owners' homes, 9 out of 10 of them are going to have 5.56. I would say 2 or 3 will probably have 308. Right, just because 9mm, 5.56, 223, those are the most prevalent, most common calibers. That's just what it is. And I want to be able to not necessarily do like a battlefield pickup or nothing, but I want to, if I need to, like, hey, you got some 5.56 in the heat of, me LARPing with my friends, going to the range, or if wartime does strike, boom. I know people got 5.56 stacked up. I know it. I know you got some bulk 5.56. Hey, I need me a mag or two. All right, babe, here you go. Already got it loaded up. And the beauty about having a 5.56 gun is you can use 223 as well. So both of those are really, you know what I mean? Plus, with me having adjustable gas, I'm just saying, like, this is something, these are the thoughts and stuff that I've thought about in depth so that I can, bring y'all this information. So that being said, designate your rifle whatever you want it to be. If you want a PSA Jackal to be your urban combat rifle, you can do that. If you want it to be your GPR, your general purpose rifle, you can do that. If you want it to even be your SPR, special purpose rifle, you can do that. If you want it to be your DMR, which I'm thinking that my 308 might lean more into if I get the right ammo and stuff, you can do that. If you want a fucking high point to be your battle pistol or your battle rifle, you can do that. It's your rifle. You can do what you want. Well, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. And why do y'all think hate is so prevalent in the gun community? Like, I would say 9 out of 10 of my comments are hate. And I'll just be like, bro, brighten up your day. Smile a little. Like, come on, man. Get it together, man. Tighten up. Tighten up. All right, y'all. Peace.